Welcome to the Reese Report. I'm the mouth of the North, Andrew Reese, and we are back. I have my favorite guest on the show, Gil Santos, to my left, and at the bottom there, Jose Gomes, part of Yager. And we are doing our NHL review. Now, we're not sure how much we're going to do NHL, but we're going to try to talk a lot about the NHL this year. Well, we're going to start with our preview. As you can tell by our jerseys, I'm the Penguin fan. Gil is the Devil fan, and down there, Jose is the Leaf fan who's lost for the last 57 years, doesn't know where they're going. But we're going to get into that, the choking dog that is the Maple Leafs. But we're going to start with a very sad soul to my left. Poor Gil Santos. You know, he lost his man, Marty Brodeur there. He's got the jersey on. And since then, it's been an utter disaster for the Devils. And last year, they were the third worst team in the NHL. And what did they do to improve that situation? Well, they added Jonathan Bernier.
That's not, to me, that's not an improvement at all.
Ryan Graves, Dougie Hamilton, who was a Norris candidate the last couple of years, and Thomas Tatar. Gil, what do you think that's going to do for your team?
Well, make them a little bit better, at least offensively, but I think we would have had a better shot if we went for Anderson instead of Bernier. I think Anderson would have probably fit our system better and would have given the team a little more confidence. But they're gonna be a little bit better. But if anything, they'll fight for that last playoff spot. Their division's very tough. I just think they'll probably end up just playing for that last playoff spot, and that's even if. Who knows?
Oh, not a fan of Bernier, Gil.
No, not at all. He wore a Leaf jersey, right? So that doesn't bring any luck.
He did play good for Detroit last year.
Yeah, well, that's the only bright side. Detroit was horrible as well. So
yeah,
he did play on a horrible Detroit team. He didn't do too bad. So maybe he might prove me wrong. But I still think Anderson would have been the way to go for the Devils. He went to Carolina, which I won't watch that game anyways. I can't stand Carolina.
Yes, I know you can't stand the Hurricanes. And they also have another problem in that with Blackwood being unvaccinated. So, Gil, you might have to dress up and go play for them.
Oh, don't worry about Blackwood. The trainer will vaccinate him during the night while he's sleeping. They'll stab a couple in him. He'll be fine.
And Lou Lamoriello's not there anymore, Gil. It's Fitzgerald.
I know. Too bad we don't have. I don't know how we let Lou go. I don't know. But
yeah, I don't know how the Leafs let him go either.
And I don't even know how the Leafs let him go. Exactly.
The back-to-back GM of the year. But we'll get to the Leafs and their disaster GM in a moment. But so you think just outside the playoffs, be competitive, but probably not make it, Gil?
I say be competitive. They might make it short, but if they do get in, it would be the last spot.
I think everyone will have to have career years for you for that to happen. You got some nice young talent, though.
Yes, it's promising, but not yet.
Okay. So that's the Devils. I was going to go to my team, but since we're talking Leafs so much, let's go down to the Leafs. Now, the Leafs added Michael Bunting, David Kampf, I hope I said that name right, Andre Case, Peter Mrazek, and Nick Ritchie. They lost Freddie Anderson, as Gil mentioned. He went to Carolina. Zach Bogosian, Nick Foligno, who decided to take his talents to Boston. Alex Galchenyuk, who is unsigned. Zach Hyman, who went to Edmonton. David Riddick, who's now in Nashville. And Joe Thornton, who decided to retire in Florida. They were the sixth best team in the league, tied with the Penguins, who were the fifth best team. We'll get to them. They once again lost in the first round for the fifth straight time. You heard Jose's rant earlier when I did a show with him. They choked a 3-1 lead to the Habs, correctly predicted by Gil. But this is a new team now with a new goaltending system. Their power play was brutal. It really hurt them. Jose, what do you think of the changes and what do you expect from the Leafs in a much, much tougher conference than last year?
Well, the changes of they've gone younger. They got rid of the Joe Thorntons and all the old guys, and they went with the younger squad. I don't know how that's going to be in the change room or whatever, but Tavares is there for that veteran help and all that stuff, and Brody's and stuff. So they should be okay with that. Well, these guys they're not a big name players that came from Arizona and stuff like that, and from these like lower teams. But those are guys that want to prove themselves, right? So they're here on the 1-year contracts, and they want to show themselves, and then maybe get that big contract for next year and stuff like that. So it's up in the air, right? You don't know how these guys are going to do and stuff like that. They still have the core, the 4 players. I still think one of them's got to go, so then they can use that money to booster up the team and stuff like that. So as is goaltending wise, I like the pickup of Mrazek. He's not the best goalie in the world, but he gets the job done. Lately, the couple of years when he was in Carolina, he was doing the job as a backup or as a starter. He did it okay. Jack Campbell's, hopefully he can play like he did last year, well, in the season and in the playoffs, which he played very well. And then as for the division, they are in the toughest division, one of the toughest division in the league. Well, they should beat the teams like Buffalo and Detroit and stuff like that, but it's going to be hard against Tampa Bay's and Florida's and Boston's. Well, Boston depends on how they're doing their goaltending stuff, because Rask is out for a little while and still until he comes back and they sign him, right? So I see the Leafs contending for I think they'll make the playoffs, but as one of the wild cards, I don't think they get out of the division as a top 3. I think they're going to get one of the wild card spots, and then we'll see from there.
What would you do with their power play?
Well, I think you've got to change it. Like, at least I think you put too many guys. I think Marner's got to go off the power play. If he can't shoot, if you're not willing to shoot, then get out, because you already have enough guys that can pass. If you're going to put Riley back playing defense back there, then Marner's got to get off the top line. If you're going to have a Rasmus Sandin that can shoot, then you put Marner on the top line so you can have a defenseman that can shoot.
Marner needs to leave as the team. Never mind, but go ahead.
He needs to leave the team. Why does he need to leave the team?
Too much money for a guy that can't score in the playoffs. He's 16, 17 games without scoring a goal for $11 million. Come on.
It is what it is. That's the contract that they signed him to. It's not his fault.
I'd put Nylander on the power play. I'd put Nylander on the power play in place of Marner because he can shoot, and I would put Muzzin or Sandin on the point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're gonna put Sandin, then you gotta take out Marner off that line. Then you put Nylander, Tavares with Matthews, and maybe like Simmons in the front of the net, or a Bunting or Nick Ritchie or something. Because last night the power play was working pretty well in the exhibition game against Montreal.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But
it is exhibition though.
Yeah, exactly. It is exhibition. But I'm just saying, like, they're trying new stuff around, right? So it's good to see. But I think they should be okay. It should be okay.
The only other question I have is this: would you trade or pay Morgan Riley?
It all depends on how he does this season.
Because he's going to ask for 8 no matter what he does.
Well, I don't know if he's going to ask for 8, because he's already said that he's willing to take a discount, home discount and stuff to stay with the Leafs. And you already said
8 is a discount.
8 is a discount for Riley. I don't think Riley's worth.
Look at the money defensemen are getting.
Yeah, but those are good. Those are top of the league defenseman. Morgan Riley is not a top of the league defenseman.
Is he comparable to Zach Werenski?
I think Zach Werenski is more of a key player than to his team than Morgan Riley is. I think he should get paid the same thing as the TJ Brody type of league, like 6-7 mil.
Brody only makes 5.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he should be like 6-7 mil is already good enough for him, I think.
Okay. All right. I think he'll leave, and therefore the Leafs should trade him. They've spent way too much time not getting anything for parts that leave and trading too many draft picks for nothing. The Leafs traded 5 draft picks for absolutely nothing last year. They've all left the team. They're being run by a really bad general manager. Lou Lamoriello is the back-to-back GM of the year and has led the Islanders to the conference finals. I'm not saying they should have kept Lou, but Kyle Dubas has not done a good job, especially with the contracts. The contracts are hamstringing the Leafs. And until he gives up on that top 4 or trades one of them, I don't think the Leafs will be competitive in the playoffs. But we will see. I think they're going to have a really tough time making the playoffs this year. Speaking of a team that's on the down and about to sink into the abyss, my Pittsburgh Penguins. Don't expect me to be optimistic because I'm not. My team finished fifth last year. They had a very surprising season, in my opinion. But here's what happened with them. They traded Jared McCann to the Leafs because they didn't want to lose him in the expansion draft for Philip Hallander. I don't know how Philip Hallander is going to play or if he's going to be part of the team. They added Danton Heinen, not really a factor for me. They added Brock McGinn to replace Tanev, who they also lost in the expansion draft. And they lost Cody Ceci to an Edmonton team that thinks that their defense is somehow going to be good this year, which is not. They got a 39-year-old goaltender with all offensive defensemen. It's going to be like 6-5 every game. But back to my team. Ron Hextall decided to keep Tristan Jarry. Now, Jose knows how I feel about Tristan Jarry because we did a whole show on it. To not add a veteran backup to help Tristan Jarry or to take the load off of him is one of the worst moves that the Penguins could have done. They just decided to get a new goalie coach and hope that Tristan Jarry rebounds. We went through this with Matt Murray, and look what happened. So not a good sign for my Penguins, considering that Evgeny Malkin, who's already out till December with a knee injury, is on the last year of his contract. Chris Letang is on the last year of his contract, and Crosby has 2 years left. If you're going to try to win one more time, then you got to put your cards on the table because these guys are going to be gone next year. Either go for it or start over. And so now you have untradeable assets that you're holding on to because they've won 3 cups. So defensively, we lost Ceci. He actually played pretty well for us. He's replaceable, but we didn't really replace him. So that's going to be a problem. We start the year without Malkin. Jake Gensel has COVID. We don't know how that's going to affect him. Crosby's going to miss the first 2 weeks of the season. So it might not be pretty to start the year for my Penguins. Mike Sullivan has his job cut out for him. And we have a team that's not sure whether they want to let go of the past, start the future, or continue with what they have and not worry about the future. But they've given up a lot of their draft picks. They've made some bad trades and some good trades. They also have Kasperi Kapanen coming up for a contract. So there's a lot of question marks on the Penguins. I really think they're going to have a hard time making the playoffs this year. They did play out of their minds to make it last year. Losing Jared McCann is a big blow. You're going to have Jeff Carter in there, who played great after the trade. He's going to fill in on the second line. And I hope that he has something left. But he's going to have to play out of his mind, and we're going to have a miracle season from a rejuvenated Tristan Jarry with Casey DeSmith backing him up. And Louis Domingue in the AHL. God knows we might see him. And Crosby's going to have to come back and play out of his mind and hope that he can hold the fort till Malcolm comes back. But I don't have any confidence that my Penguins are a playoff team this year. They very well could be on the outside looking in or barely scraping in that conference. It's not easy at all. So I have no belief that this team's going anywhere. And I think they're going to end up trading a lot of guys. I think Letang's going to get traded. I think Malkin's going to get traded by the deadline, and the rebuild will start at the trade deadline. That's what I think is going to happen. What do you guys think? Now that we've talked about each other's teams, what do you guys think?
So is it safe to say that this year we might as well just watch Baby Shark and have sex with our wives than watch our games?
Pretty much.
Like it's gonna be a bad season.
Because it's going to be depressing for me. I think your team has a little hope because you got some young pieces and they're heading in the right direction. My team's going down and doesn't have anywhere to go except down. So I just don't have any faith that they kept Jarry and didn't get him a backup. They lost Ceci, didn't replace him. And the perennially injured Malkin, who had Jared McCann filling in, now has a 37-year-old Jeff Carter without Jared McCann. We got worse, not better. And so I don't see where we go. As far as the Leafs go, they got worse as well. And they added the 3 best teams from their conference back into the conference. So that hurts the Leafs and hurts the Devils as well. What do you think of the Leafs this year, Gil?
Well, the Leafs to me this year, I don't know. Like the goaltending is iffy. Let's see what Campbell's got. They have Mrazek, but like Jose said, he's not the best either. he played well in Carolina, but Carolina was a solid, functional team, even though I don't like them.
Yeah.
But Leafs are gonna have a hard time. Like to me, I still even last year they need that defenseman, that go-to defenseman. They have Riley, but they need to add one more, at least one more solid to help them out. Maybe they get Subban from the Devils. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
Which I still don't get from the pool we did. No one even picked him, which I'm surprised.
Because he's been a disaster for 2 years.
He's going to have a good season, I think. Dougie's there. I think it's going to take some weight off his shoulders. He'll play more relaxed. I feel like, there's people that drafted worse defensemen than him.
I know.
And he didn't get picked. So I feel it was a little bit disrespectful for him. But yeah, and your Penguins are just garbage. So
they're not going to be good this year. I mean, they'll get points. Yeah. So Jose, you're shaking your head. What do you think of my Penguins?
I totally disagree with you guys. Well, especially with the Penguins are not garbage. Well, right now they're garbage because they have a lot of injuries. But when that team is playing at 100%, watch out with Malkins and Sidney Crosby's and Jeff Carter is the big pickup. I don't see.
I love Jeff Carter. That
was like a steal last year in that trade deadline.
Yeah.
And you guys have Rust and Getzel and stuff like that. And nobody even talking about players. What about Jason Zucker? That guy's been a solid player. He's a contributor to a team. Like
he's been a disappointment for the Penguins, Jose.
Okay, but he contributes. Like he'll penalty kill for you guys. He does everything. Like
we need a lot more from him. A lot more.
Well, relax. The man's only a human. He's not gonna fucking be doing.
They traded Phil Kessel to get him, and he makes $5.5 million, and he doesn't score enough. Like he needs to be more productive. That's why I didn't even mention his name because he didn't do anything the last 2 years.
Well, it is what it is, but you guys are so harsh, man. It's at the beginning of the season. I think the Devils are going to be surprising a lot of teams this year.
I like the Devils more than my Penguins.
They have a lot of good young players. Heischer, Hughes,
Jack Hughes. Yes,
they can score. They have solid defense. Okay, the goaltending is not maybe sexy names like Andersons and stuff like that. But Bernier is a guy that he'll keep you in the game. Okay, he's not the best goalie, but like last year for a shit Detroit team, he had like an average of 2 goals a game. Like that's not that bad for a goalie like him. Like, you know what I mean? And then you've got Blackwood. Blackwood's been in the system already for a couple of years right now, so he should know the system very well. He's not that bad of a. Yeah, he's a young, good goalie, come up and coming. I think you guys are just being very harsh on your teams, man.
I'm hoping for the best, but I don't have any faith in them this year. I just too many injuries, too old, lost too many players. Like, where do you think they finish?
You have money, like you have salary cap money that you guys can wait. Like
we don't. We're capped out.
You capped out?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, I think I don't know how the Devils are, but still, like but then you trade deadline, you can always trade guys here and there.
The Devils with all Lamrel, they do not do math. They don't even know if they're capped in or out.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Leafs can't trade for Subban because he makes $9 million. So it
doesn't matter. They can retain some of his contract, and they can trade a player for
50% is the max. So
okay, exactly
4.5.
Andrew, the Leafs can sign anybody they want. The Leafs have more than enough money to sign anybody they want.
No, they don't have the cap space. So they would have to trade a $4.5 million salary and hope that the Devils retain.
Get rid of a Kerfoot or somebody like that. That's a $4 million contract right there.
The way Kyle Doofus over there wanted to keep Kerfoot, he's not going anywhere. It's like he's the best third line center in the NHL.
He's not the best third line center, but he kills penalties. He does his job. Like I don't know.
The Leafs just don't have anyone to trade. They don't have anyone to trade for Subban. That's the bottom line. Even at 4.5, they just don't have anyone to trade. So
the Leafs have so much money they were paying Raycroft's contract while he's
before the cap deal. That's before the cap.
I know, but they have the money.
Yeah, they traded Tuukka Rask for Raycroft, one of the worst trades in Leaf history, but they made a lot. So I mean, so that's what we think, guys. That's our 3 teams. We'll get into more about what we think can happen. Jose, what did you say? Did you say my team makes the playoffs or not?
I think they'll be battling it out for the last wild card spot in the division.
They could be right there with the Leafs.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be Pittsburgh and the Leafs making the wild card.
Man, oh man. I hope you're right. I maybe I'm just purposely down to hope they surprise me. Maybe that's what I'm doing. You know.
I didn't, like they last year they had the same team basically, and they did well. So they finished fifth overall in the league. So I don't understand what was okay. The conferences are back to the same, but in that conference, who do you like besides Washington and the Islanders, and maybe like I don't know,
Well, you got to
Philadelphia.
play Tampa Bay and Boston 4 times. You got to play
Okay,
Florida four
but I'm
times.
talking about
So
your division. Like you have
yeah,
okay,
the same
solid
teams.
teams.
The
There
same
is
teams. Yeah.
Carolina, Washington, and the Islanders. Basically, those are the three solid teams there.
Hmm.
The up and down, that you have a solid team.
I think the
But
Rangers are
then,
going to be good this year.
yeah, you have the Rangers.
The
But I think
Flyers will
Pittsburgh
be
can.
improved, I think.
I think Pittsburgh can play with the Rangers.
Hmm.
I think Pittsburgh can play with Philly. Like they can play with Philly.
I just
They
think it's
can beat
the
them.
injuries, Jose, and the lack of depth. I think that's what it is. That's got me discouraged.
I don't know.
Right. And then the
I
goaltending. I mean, if Jari falls apart, you've got DeSmith and Deming. Like, that's not pretty. They
Yeah,
just, you know?
listen, no, and we got Hutchinson. If
No, he
Mrazek
got released. The Leafs released him.
no, they put him on waivers, but I don't know
Right.
if nobody picked him
Right.
up, so he
So,
comes back on the team.
I mean, not too optimistic here, guys. I mean, there are a lot of Leaf fans who aren't excited about the Leafs this year, and they're just pissed off because they've lost 5 straight years in the first round. They haven't won a series in 17 years. At least my team has won a cup, back-to-back cups. Gil's had his cups. Jose's never seen the Leafs succeed since he's been born. So we shouldn't feel bad because our team's actually had success.
Well, I haven't
bad.
seen him win the championship, but
Right.
I've seen him go on to conference finals and stuff like that. But
Like Gil said, it was black and white the last time they won a cup. So
yeah, it was.
so
It's okay.
so
Sorry.
right. So that's our review, guys. We're gonna
Well,
try.
for me, well, hold on.
Yeah,
Well,
Gil, what do you got?
I'm taking Colorado to win the cup.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do cup picks. Colorado, even with Darcy Kemper in net.
Yes, sir.
Okay. A pick that I thought they'd win a cup last year. They got beat by Vegas, but nothing wrong with that pick. Jose, who do you got to win the cup?
I'm. It sucks to say, but I think Tampa Bay is going to win it again. They have goaltending, they have defense, they have forwards that can score. Braden Point's a playoff machine.
You know what? I'm gonna surprise everyone, and I'm gonna take Florida to win the cup. How about that?
Well, better than Carolina. My
Right.
God.
I'm going to take Florida because I really like what they did with their team. If they're healthy and Joe Quenneville can get them playing good defense and Bobrovsky can somehow rebound, or if Spencer Knight becomes the star he's supposed to become, then I'll pick Florida as an upset for now to win the cup, just because I think Tampa Bay and Colorado are too easy to take. I'm going to take a chance to take Florida to win the cup.
Who do you have beating in the final?
I don't like anybody else except Colorado in the West, so I'll take Colorado.
I like Vegas.
Right. Vegas with Robin Leonard, maybe not as strong. I don't think Chicago's going anywhere despite Fleury being there. Seth Jones is a very overrated defenseman, so I don't think they're going to be this great team just because they have Fleury. They'll make the playoffs, but they're not going anywhere after that. I like Colorado just because I think Leonard is having some issues right now. He's got too much on his mind, talking about like weird shit on Twitter and arguing with the NHL about stuff and talking about Jack Eichel. And I hear he's going to get traded now, so that could change some things depending on where he goes.
I don't know about Kemper, man.
Kemper's a good goalie.
Last year they didn't do it with Grubauer, and Grubauer is a 10 times better goalie than Kemper, and I don't know. I just
Grubauer's where he belongs, in the Seattle Crackheads. That's where he belongs.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take Colorado, and I believe I'm gonna go to New York Islanders.
Oh, the Islanders, the team no one talks about. They could get there again.
Because I think the Islanders upset Tampa,
Mhm.
just because we're in an era where you don't see to win 2 cups in a row, never mind 3 or 4. It's just hard to do in the era that we're in.
Yeah.
So I believe the Islanders will take them out.
Yeah, they lost some depth. Tampa Bay, I still think they're the favorites, but I just wanted to take a team that I thought improved the most in the offseason, and that was Florida for me. But they're going to have to get some goaltending out of Bobrovsky, or it's not going to work out. So that's our review, guys. We're going to be back. We're going to try to do some award picking, maybe some shows here and there when our teams do something good or bad, like poor Jose last year when his team blew a 3-1 lead. Maybe Gil surprises some maybe Bernier plays great and we have to look at Gil and say, I told you so, he's not that bad, relax, don't give me the look on the face. He killed me the other night at the pool. We were doing a hockey pool and I said Bernier's name and he just killed me. He made me cry. He was so funny, the look on his face. So I hope Bernier plays well so we can come back and talk about that. The Leafs, honestly, I think until they decide to balance their team and not have 4 guys making $10 million, they're going to struggle. And my team's getting old and getting to the end of their run. So could be a big rebuild, and I'm going to be like Gil's Devils for the last 5 years. So we'll see. But until we come back for hockey, we'll have our NFL picks every week. And we'll do hockey as the season goes along. We'll probably come in here and talk about our hockey teams and our pool and who's doing good and bad. Gil went from first to last. Jose's the 4th place finisher every year, and I go up and down all the time too. I've won twice, but here's hoping that Jose and his rookie squad over there actually win, because I do kind of want Jose to win and not finish 4th every year, because it gets kind of sad, but we'll hope for him. But until we come back to talk more hockey, I'm Andrew Reese, the Mouth of the North. I'm with Gil Santos and Jose Gomes. We will see you on the next Reese Report. Thank you for joining us.